Okay, fantastic. So, welcome today. I neglected to record right from the start yesterday, but all I did was just sort of introduce myself. I feel like I want everyone to know kind of a little bit about me. And even though some of you I've known for years, you may not know my background. And since I end up talking about a lot of things that are um, more tangentially related, but also essential to singing. I just don't want you to think that I am. I want you to know what my background. I want you to know who I am. So I'll just start by saying that. Well, first of all, thank you for being here, and thank you to those of you who are watching this later. You're with us in spirit, and I appreciate your support and you registering to be a part of this experience. It means a lot to me because I lived my life on an island for a long time, emotionally and spiritually speaking. I didn't really understand intimacy growing up. And by intimacy, I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about like emotional intimacy. I didn't understand that growing up. Well, I didn't understand sex either, but that's okay. That's a separate topic for another masterclass. So it wasn't until I was an adult, and it wasn't until I entered the chrysalis, as I was talking about yesterday, with hypnotherapy, going deep, letting go, relaxing, and then seeing what's left there, that I started to understand intimacy, both with myself and with other people, and with my music and my singing. And so that was a huge breakthrough for me. But because I didn't have that understanding as a young person, all I knew was that I was good at singing. And that was something that made me feel loved, because I would sing for people and they would be like, wow, that was so good. And I would be like, I'm good. I feel good because people think I'm good at singing. So I'm going to sing for other people and I'm going to do what I can to please them. And I made it all about external. I externalized all my validation, and that felt good for a while until it didn't anymore. And that first hypnotherapy session that I went to was 2011. So that would put me in my early 30s. How old was I? Okay, I was 33 years old when I went and did that. And that's pretty old. It's still young, but for someone like Saren, people, my kids in college, it's pretty old to be learning things about yourself that seem really important. But that's what happens, right? And we just keep learning as we grow, and as we have experiences. Many of them painful experiences teach us these lessons that we can't otherwise learn. So the boring part about who I am is, because this is what I wanted to include before I get into all that other stuff, is that I was born and raised in Salem, Oregon, and that's where I grew up and began my musical training when I was 12. I had been a ballet dancer before that, and that was a dream of mine because I loved things that were refined and cultured, and that was my whole thing, was like being a lady. And so then I was cut off from ballet because I started to go through puberty, and my teacher was like, you don't really have the right body for this. So like huge rejection right there. But then I cruised into voice lessons, private lessons at age 12, and continued those studies for 6 years till I got to university. And then I started a music program at BYU, 4 years there. And then I had a break in which I served a mission for my church in Italy and learned Italian, and that was fantastic. And I performed over there. My mission president was really into music and opera, and supported us in doing those things, and even rented a theater for us, but often we were just singing in the church. So that was a cool experience. And then I came back and did a master's at the University of Utah in vocal performance. And that was also a cool experience that afforded me a lot of opportunities to sing with orchestra, and as a prominent soloist, and sort of get my feet wet there. From there, I moved to the Las Vegas area and was a professional opera singer, oratorio, classical singer down there for many years. And then I went to New York to do my solo debut at Carnegie Hall in 2011, and then decided to stay in New York. And that was when, and actually the hypnotherapy session was just before my performance at Carnegie Hall. So I moved there in January. I think the session was probably in the beginning of February, sometime in February, and then I sang at Carnegie Hall in March. And And that was the beginning of all of this stuff that we're going to talk about today. And it's sort of like you raise your consciousness, and then you're in a position to kind of start peeling back some layers of an onion that has so many layers that the layers probably never end. And you're peeling them back, understanding more about yourself and the essence of life and art and these things that exist on a deeper level that aren't on the surface. We don't necessarily understand them just because we're awake and alive and we live on this planet Earth, right? So they're things that exist, maybe the unseen world, I would call it. Those things started to to factor into everything I did on a bigger level. So sorry, I'm just seeing some comments over here. Oh, okay, wonderful. Olivia is not going to have her camera on, which is a shame because she's a beautiful person. I wish you could all see her. And then Helen's asking, what's the weather in New York today, Holly?
It's so lovely. It's 63 degrees right now. It's beautiful. Like the second day that you can go outside with a t-shirt. It's really nice.
Nice. Is it same in Brooklyn, Judith? Same weather over
I,
there?
I haven't been outside and I'm in a very, very cold room right now.
Isn't
I'm
that funny?
freezing.
When spring comes and it's like so cold in our house still, for some reason we go outside and the sun is there and we're like, oh, I feel like I could thaw out here. It's really nice. All right. Thanks for sharing. That was nice pleasantries. Thanks, Helen, for bringing that in. Okay. So, any questions about anything so far? I'm happy to share anything about myself that I maybe didn't cover. Oh yeah, I should say this. I don't still live in New York. So I came back. I did Heather Plett's Mandala Journey in 2016. And this was a 30-day journey of drawing mandalas, which are these circular shaped forms. And hers had prompts for each day. And basically you're drawing and coloring, and it's all very right-brained actions. Very right-brained, motivated, like all of it, everything and so you're kind of downloading things that go beyond your conscious thought that are inside of you. So that was cool. And then I realized by the end that my dream was to have a homestead and to have a little bit more land and to grow my own food and to create a retreat center where people could come and they could earth and they could get sun and fresh air and food that was grown on the property, and they could do yoga with me. Oh, I didn't mention that. 2014, I did a 200-hour certification for a yoga teacher. And then in 2020, I did 300 hours. So I'm 500 hours certified for yoga. And I love it. I love the way it interfaces with singing. I'm going to talk about that today as well, because all of that sort of came together in this really beautiful way. And and then, understanding what nature has to offer us and then our own nature and how that comes together. So my whole philosophy and my program is called Singing That Connects. And so it's about connections on so many levels. First of all, with ourselves, and secondly, with our music and with our instrument. And then third, with our community and our audience. So how we can all be connected by music, because for me, seeking that external validation for so many decades left me feeling separate and left me feeling almost desperate, right? Begging for like approve of me. And instead, it should be us understanding and owning our gifts so that we can, oh, thank you. Oh, goodness. Okay, there's some questions. So let me just finish my sentence. Understanding and owning our gifts so that we can then offer them freely to other people and others can do the same. And so we have this sense of connection that's not based on, I need you to like me, but I like myself and I know who I am. And starting from that baseline of everybody is of infinite worth And so we don't need to compete with each other. I grew up in a competitive family. So, and I was one of the younger siblings. So I was always the underdog. That was so hard, but that was another reason why I was looking for that validation from outside, because I wasn't going to get it in my home. My parents were actually awesome, but my older siblings, I feel bad. I'm totally throwing them under the bus, but they're not here in the master class. So if they were, I probably would say that a little differently. Okay, so Helen asked, how long have I been teaching people how to sing? That's a good question. So I started teaching singing right out of undergrad in 1999, before I went to Italy. And yeah, and then I've been teaching off and on over the years. My first husband actually didn't want me to teach, and so I didn't teach much during that time that I was married to him. But I did still teach a little bit. And then in the last almost 8 years since I moved back to Utah to the homestead thing that I was talking about, I've been teaching a lot more. And we had COVID in there and started doing a lot of things online, which was good and bad. It's great to be in touch. And we can do a lot that way, but I also want to do these in-person retreats where people come and we experience everything together. So, so these last 8 years, also 7 years at Snow College, where we teach all styles, which for those of you who aren't familiar with music programs at most universities and conservatories, it's a classical track or you do something else. So when we talk about a music major or a music degree in vocal performance, that means that you did only classical music. And if you studied something else, or if you sang something else outside of that, you did it on your own. And what we have at Snow College is a bachelor's of music in commercial music, which includes all styles, which means like tonight we have our mid-semester recital, our first one. And someone will get up and sing a classical piece, and another person will get up and sing a jazz piece. Naomi's going to sing classical. Saren's going to sing music theater, or Broadway, I should say. Yeah, it's the Broadway. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we have people singing jazz and people singing rock and people doing singer-songwriter stuff. So it's really everything under the sun. I learned how to belt in 2015 from Christy Turnbow, who was a peer of mine at BYU in my undergrad. And she was one of the first graduates from the first music theater pedagogy master's degree. So a way of teaching music theater in a more codified way, right? So not just sort of the whatever you've picked up over the years, which is also so valuable, right? But they have an actual master's degree where you can learn how to teach music theater in a healthy way, right? With all the belting and things. And so when I heard about that, I was like, she was in New York. She was headed to Boston, but she was in New York. And I was like, I'm in New York. Let's get together. We're going to do some lessons. You're going to teach me how to belt, which afterward I was like, okay, I learned how to do that, but that is not singing. For anybody who's interested in knowing, it was just like this totally separate thing where I was like, no. And so from that point in 2015, which, oh my goodness, that was, I think it was in April or something that we met. It's been nearly 10 years. And in that time, I've had a chance I have some really crazy, awesome infographics that I'm going to share with you guys today that I'm excited about. They're juicy. Maybe not all today, but throughout the rest of the week, we'll be looking at these. But I've been connecting the dots, another connection between different genres, you guys. And this is so exciting because some people want to sing, like I wanted to sing opera. That was what I wanted to do from the time I was 5, right? I said, I'm going to be an opera singer, 5. It's because I had a sister who was 15, who was in voice lessons, who was singing La Traviata. And I was like, I'm going to do that. That's going to be me. But really, like, what if I hadn't had that influence? What would I sing? I don't know, you guys. I love Bread, like the band Bread. I love all kinds of stuff from all kinds of places. And now I sing it so joyfully because I understand, like, I don't have to live in the singing box over here that's only classical music. I don't have to live there. I can go over here. I can come over here. And you know what? It's all about that connection to myself and what I have to express, what is inside of myself. And that's what I want everybody to discover, to have that connection to themselves and to give themselves permission to do it, right? I remember one time I was singing Puff the Magic Dragon, just, out of the blue. I don't remember. And I was belting, but I didn't know how to belt yet. And I was like, just kind of feeling my way through it. And I was totally judging myself the whole time and not giving myself permission to sing. I was just like, sing it. But I was like, behind all of it, I was like, this kind of sounds good. I can tell this kind of sounds good, even though I have no right to be singing this because no one has taught me how to do it. And anyway, so big thing about understanding our own authority is our own ability to give ourselves permission to do things that we don't need someone else's permission. Okay, so now that I've said that, Naomi asked, do you have a license in hypnotherapy? You know what? I don't. But there was a time when I was living in New York, and there's just so many resources there of all kinds. And I did a lot of studies in various things. I worked with a light worker. This is a type of energy work. And in his building downtown where I used to go, there was a flyer up that was like trained to be a hypnotherapist. And I really thought about it because I thought, that would be so cool, but I didn't do it. So, and I do visualizations with people. We're going to do a little bit of visualization today, actually, which was kind of my idea of kicking things off. We're getting into it. So let's actually, I'm going to share one story and then we're going to go into a visualization because it's something that I feel is really important to, like this whole concept of going inside and understanding things about ourselves that aren't necessarily on the surface, but are super important. A lot of that is done through meditation and stillness, breath work, that just opens up that unseen world to us and can give us wisdom and knowledge that we would not otherwise have access to because we're just sort of scurrying along in our information age, distracted all the time by everything that's around us. I'm so guilty of this, but I try to detach from that and come back into, this place over here. Okay, so the story I want to tell you, which is, oh, and we have to get back to the question from yesterday too. We will. I took notes. So the story that I want to tell you briefly is about that first session of hypnotherapy. Actually, it may not have been at the first session that this happened, but during my time with Nicholas Pallison, who was my therapist and is a tremendous baritone. And Judith, maybe you know Nicholas. So I for the first time, I think ever, I was aware that I had tension. And as a singer, I was trying to get rid of tension because that's what teachers say. They say, relax and get rid of your tension. But this was the first time that I had sort of this counting down from 10 to 1. I think it was to 1, maybe it was to 0. Of just sort of feeling like bleh, right? Like just being a lump and just like letting everything go. And then from there, letting more go. 9, 8. And as you're going through this countdown, you're just scanning your body for any remaining tension and then releasing it, like giving it permission not to be there, right? And just becoming a blob of like your physical body just being this complete puddle on the floor, right? And it's scary to let go. And some people are more successful with hypnotherapy or with hypnosis, I guess, in general than others. Some are more susceptible to receiving that instruction and being able to let go and being able to allow things to happen, which I've never been to any sort of hypnosis show where, anyway, like the magic type shows. But my experience with hypnotherapy was that I got to a place where I was able to really let go of everything. And that was when I had that first revelation at the first session was like, I'm living my life for other people. Like I'm completely making choices based on what other people want me to do. And it was, and for those of you, I talked about this a little bit yesterday and how it was like, that was like the global realization of my entire life is based on other people's expectations of me. But then within that was this other, my singing, which was also in the same boat. It was based on other people's expectations of me. And maybe even my own expectations of myself from the time I was 12 and I was listening to Ella Fitzgerald, bless her, and I was listening to Mira Lafreni and other great opera singers, Kiri Te Kanawa, many, and trying to sound like them. That I did myself a disservice because we can never know quite what they're doing to create the result that they're creating. But we can approach singing in a healthy way and then we can get a similar result, but it's going to sound like our healthiest, most beautiful sound and not like an imitation of someone else, which is never really going to be the result that we want. So there on a next session, this is going to sound crazy to you guys, so just get ready. It wasn't, I don't remember if it was the next one or the one after that. We worked together for a couple of months, I think at least once a week. If not, there might have been more sessions per week, which was such a blessing, so amazing. Um, he said, okay, in this session, you're going to forget your name. And I said, I don't, I don't know how that would be possible. It's my name. I've had it my whole life. People call me it and variations of it all the time. And I just don't know how that's possible. Like, but it's okay. Like I'm open. I'm open to this, right? And so we did the thing, 10, 9, all the way down into the puddle. And he took me through several prompts and letting go ask me questions. I don't know exactly how he does it. And I had to let go of my name too, you guys. I had to let go of it. Like I had to let go of everything. Thoughts, physical tension, all of it. I just let it all go. And then he asked me what my name was. And this is how I know what's left when you let go of everything. Sorry. This is sometimes when emotions rise to the surface. So, does anyone want to venture a guess? I did a Facebook post about this a couple months ago. I don't remember when it was. But if you saw it, then you already know the answer. Maybe. I didn't put it in the body of the post, but I again asked people and someone guessed it. And so it was confirmed in the comments. Does anyone have any ideas? What's left when you let go of everything? Come on, Halls. I know you got something for me. Yeah, Helen. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Helen took it. I was like, love, how about just your like natural essence? It's who you are, it's who your soul is.
That's
There's
right.
no preconceived.
That's right. And that was what I answered when he asked me what my name was. Love.
I wondered if you said love or soul. Soul.
Yeah. Well, I said love because I think that is our soul. That is our divine essence is love. And it's so crazy because we oh, Helen read my post. Oh, cheater. I'm just kidding. That's great. So we talk about support a lot in singing. And we hold on a lot in singing because we need support in singing. But, and there are places that we engage to have support in singing, right? But if we understand this truth that when we let go of everything, we are supported by this universal love that exists all around us and inside of us, then we can approach support from a place of abundance instead of from a place of scarcity, right? I can't tell you how often I teach people, and I've taught people for months and even years, and they say, I still don't understand support. And that's why I'm doing this, is because this is like the holistic approach to singing, right? That's not just you show up for a lesson once a week and I give you what I can during that time, but it's like immersion. It's a more immersive approach to singing, which includes things like understanding what is actual support, what it is anatomically within the vocal mechanism, but also what it is spiritually to understand support. I remember I was getting ready to do a Christmas concert at the church building there in Lincoln Center, and I was feeling a little jittery, which is normal before a performance, and I decided I would just lie down on the floor. And hypnotherapy taught me so much about, because it taught me about letting go, which is so important. I call it the art of letting go. And I lay down on the floor and I just decided that I was going to let the earth support me. And I was going to let the weight of my body just sink into the floor. And of course, for me, tears just started flowing down my cheeks because the reminder of that support that is there for us, that we can let go into that support, is really, it's really moving. It's a very tender thing to feel. I don't have to hold on in order to survive. I can let go and I will be okay. Okay, so let's do a visualization. We'll go ahead and um, we'll go ahead and just assume a position that is good for meditation. So seated is fine. If you're in a place where you can lie down, feel free. If you're seated, well, whatever position you're in, you want to find alignment with your body so you can relax. And feet flat on the floor. If you're seated, I'll give you prompts for that. Knees above the ankles. And then equal weight on your sits bones. So where you're making contact with your seat. And then from there, a tall spine. The spine is curved, so don't feel like you need to make it straight. You just want it to be aligned. And from there, tall through the crown of the head. Palms flat on the thighs is a nice way to do it. And you should feel almost like you're floating. The body is in alignment where you can feel relaxed. And now turn your attention to your breath. Don't judge it. Don't change it. Just let it be what it is. Your 24/7, keeping you alive machine. Bringing in just the amount of oxygen that you need in this moment. And then notice any ambient sounds that are in the room where you are. You can label them one by one. And then any sounds that are outside of the room where you are. And again, label them. Bring your attention back to your breath. Suddenly you find yourself in a long hallway. And at the end of the hallway is an elevator. You feel drawn to and you walk to this elevator. Push the call button. Promptly arrives and you get on board. You press the button for the 3rd floor. Takes you up. The doors open. And you exit again into a long hallway. And as you walk down this hallway, you notice doors on either side of different colors. Each one with a bright gold knob. There are also numbers on these doors. When you come to the end of the hall, it's a bright purple door with the number 9 on it. You reach down for that gold knob. You gently turn it, opening into a beautiful, love-filled space with plenty of windows, healthy, vibrant plants, and a beautiful wingback chair. You walk over to the chair, and sitting there is your 85-year-old self, who motions to you to have a seat there next to them on the ottoman. With their hand on your knee, look you in the eye, the sense of deep love and understanding and pride in who you are, how beautiful you are, what you've done in your life, all the experiences that you've had. They give you a big hug. And after this 8-second heart hug, pulls back away and tells you exactly what you need to hear in this moment, where you are in this stage of your journey. You're beautiful. You've got this. Keep going. I love you. You are amazing. And your uniqueness is your superpower. And with that, another big hug. You feel your body surrounded by a beautiful golden light, shimmers and shines, almost like fire, but it doesn't burn you. And you say, thank you. Goodbye for now. And leave back out through that bright purple door with the gold knob, down the long hallway to the elevator, ground floor. Enter the elevator. Takes you down. And when the elevator doors open, on your next inhalation, your eyes flutter open. Welcome back. I would love to hear what was said by the 85-year-old self, other than the things I said. I like to know what comes up for you guys, and what, if you're willing to share, what that feeling was like, or what specific words maybe were uttered. Hopefully I gave you enough time for those to filter in. You're gonna make it. That's right. I love that. Yeah, right. The wisdom of years. Sometimes we only see things from this side, right? Looking toward the future. But what happens when we shift that lens and have it looking back at us? Everything will be okay. That's powerful. I'm proud of you. Yeah. Yeah. Naomi, do you want to unmute and talk for a minute?
Hey, hello everyone. Just start to following Alyssa's what is it called, whatever talk. Recently I got a message from my guide. Pray for Japan and the earth. So that's my guide told me to recently, like a week or so. And then now I follow your guide to so that my 5 years old, me. Um, she told me you could help both of them, so help with the loss of energy. So I know it's like probably one of a light worker, so got a little bit more confidence to continue to play for Japan and the Earth. So I just a little bit feel like happy with it.
Good.
Actually, the elevator point, I was actually went down. Oh, so it was so fast, and then I moved it fast, and then your guide, it's just like it goes just like so fast, and then go to the elevator, and they actually went through down, and then you said through, oh, how to go, and then went up, and then yeah, they go in room, but it opened the door. It's just like actually was a universe, like the room was universe, like this, and then just like but I made an image of myself and the room, make a room a little bit, and then, yeah, it was so really nice experience. And then and on the way back, I went to really down the elevator, and then it went up to 2.5. I came back 2.5 in the floor. So I don't why 2.5, but I went back to 2.5.
Yeah,
probably,
that's a great thing to notice though. And you can write those things down. Yeah. Some things are buried in our subconscious and they'll surface, and it's good for us to write things down. Like when we wake up from dreams and things like that. Because it's good to open ourselves up to those truths that are kind of hidden. We can find a lot of interesting things. But yeah, that's
so kind of crazy, but sorry, but
it seems like you are someone who has a good imagination. Yeah.
I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's a couple. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. That's okay. Yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Yes, thank you, Naomi.
Thank you.
Helen, the keep going is something I continuously tell myself every day. And when my 85-year-old self said it, I felt like she knew me. Yeah, exactly. But really, I felt like she just knew me, knew what I'm fighting to earn and achieve, knew how far I'd get, knew how much joy and fulfillment I would see in my lifetime. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Oh, you guys, this is so good. I'm having all these thoughts. We actually have to wrap up kind of soon. We haven't gotten to that question, but I think the person who posed that question about what if I made love the law? I think that person's not here. Are you here? I'm actually not sure who it was, because I think it just said like iPhone 13 or something on the person's, and they didn't have the camera on. So, but we will get to that. But I want to say about this. Oh, thank you, Tamsin. Love freely, trust God. Yes. Trust is so good. Trust is so good. So what I want to say, the point I want to make about visualization, and have you guys done much with guided meditation and with visualization and that type of thing before? Is that something that, Holly, yeah, a little bit. Judith, anybody else? Helen, yes. The interesting thing about visualization, so I took you through with prompts, but you could also do that same thing just with your own, like keeping it more open, right? So you can go to floor 2.5 or whatever. You can do whatever comes to you, and whatever color the door is, or whatever is happening. It could be a shorter hallway, or you could take a time capsule. You could do, you can do all kinds of different, whatever comes to, whatever speaks to you with these visualizations. And one of the most effective, because our imaginations are so powerful, right? And we can invite scarcity into our imaginations, and we can invite fear, or we can invite things that are more like abundance, gratitude, things that make us more expanded. Oh, the basement where you started was gray and gloomy. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and small and kind of, yeah, interesting. Yeah. So, and I think definitely our 85-year-old self has a more expanded perspective on life, which is so needed. Sometimes we can feel very pigeonholed. But for my students who are getting ready to sing in mid-semester recital, I'm going to talk about something that maybe I've talked about with you before in our lessons, but it's been scientifically proven that when we have a specific visualization that we do with a lot of specific details, for instance, imagining the recital hall in its details and imagining where your focal point is going to be, what it's going to look like around you, even the temperature of the room, who's going to be there, how many people, like the way that you want to set it up in your mind with your imagination, your brain will register it as having happened. So I thought I heard some science like 10 years ago that said it was like 50%. But no, if you really do it effectively with specific details and you believe it, then it registers with your brain as you having done it. And so when you're getting ready for a performance, like these students are, you can lie down or get in the meditative posture of sitting and get into that theta brainwave state, right? Through focusing on the breath, through feeling the alignment and the float of your body. And you can go through your whole song in your mind without making a peep and feel the feelings that you want to feel as you're doing it, right? So feelings of excitement or gratitude or, what do you want to feel? What do you guys want to feel when you perform? Powerful, free. What are some of the things you want to feel when you're performing? Naomi's going to sing Tu che di gel sei cinta from Turandot. Joy, yes. Relaxed, yes. Elevated, yes. Okay, good. And I'll say with that, in tune, like in tune with your intuition and with your instincts as a performer and as like the part of you who knows how to do this, right? That flow state, being in the zone, right? Yeah, Tu che di gel. Yes, Helen has sung it on a previous mid-semester recital. It is so powerful. And having given it all, good, yes, left nothing back, but just letting it out and having that confidence, right? So those are all feelings that can be incorporated into your visualization. And you go through the entire song, feeling those feelings, having that experience in this specific space, right? It's a little harder when you're going to an audition and you maybe don't know what the room looks like. It's a little bit harder to do it that specifically, but you can still have sort of your pod, your purple bubble of peace that's around you, where you're having this experience. And then your brain's like, check. So imagine you have a performance in a week. And you do that every day between now and then. And it doesn't have to be a carbon copy every day. It can be whatever you feel like you want it to be that day. But you imagine it in such detail that your brain's like, yep, we did that. Boop, boop, boop. We've performed this 6 times already. The 7th day, you go out and you do it for real. But you're in this state of having done it a bunch. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so questions, comments, takeaways from today. I do have, it's so funny. I prepared a bunch more stuff that we're not going to get to today, but I do want to circle back to the balancing the law and the love. And what if I made love the law? Anybody have any, confidence, takeaways from today or anything they want to share? Feel free to unmute or put it in the chat. I love you too. Thank you so much. You're out there. The birdie left the nest. Anybody else? Toi to our performers tonight. And if nobody has anything else, I'll just tell you thank you so much for being here. I know you will, Naomi. You'll do your best. Okay, Amy, someone wise said, a person to be loved is more important than a problem to be solved. Ooh, yeah. And that's so true for us individually as singers. How are we taking care of ourselves and how are we loving ourselves rather than, looking at our problems, whether it's vocal problems or the problem of the music on the page that seems hard or whatever it could be. Or law to be observed. Yeah, great. You're so welcome. Thank you, Judith and everybody. All right. I'll leave you with the namaste. The light within me honors the light within you. Go shine your light. I love you guys. I'll see you here tomorrow. Okay. Same place, same time. Okay. Bye.